was talking about before the break, which is that their strategy now is very clear, which is to try to win in enough battleground states the election day vote. And that, I think, is what's going on here. It's like Donald Trump is trying to say, how do I get people, a group of people who are largely not immune from concern about coronavirus. You know, we already know there's a disparity between Republicans and Democrats in terms of who's willing to put health concerns aside and show up on Election Day, stand in a long line, go and vote in person. We know there's this giant disparity. Democrats are going to vote early and by mail. Republicans are going to show up on Election Day. Trump is now speaking to, those Republican-leaning suburban women act more like Democrats in this context, right? Trump is focused explicitly on how do I win the game day vote? How do I get my core base supporters to come out on Election Day so that on the game day vote, I can put a flag in the ground and say, I won Pennsylvania on Election Day, in-person voting. And then after Election Day, all of those other votes, those tens of millions of votes that come in by mail, that have come in early, that many of which are not going to be counted until after Election Day, then engage in a knife fight in the counting rooms, in the validation certification process, in the courts, in the Electoral College, in the House of Representatives, ultimately. Again, Meacham and Jim VandeHei are talking about this the right way now. The Trump campaign thinks the fight for the presidency is not. We all say, hey, Election Day is early. People are voting early right now. They're saying we don't care about that. We're going to contend that all of that was illegitimate. And for us, Election Day starts on Election Day and continues until January 20th. That's where the fight is going to happen. And that's why Trump is now starting to talk about all of these, trying to get what's the Proud Boys thing about? It's about their increasing conviction that there is going to be civil unrest in the country between, I'm talking about their conviction. This is not a left-wing partisan conspiracy theory. Within Trump's inner circle, within Trump's councils of power, within the influential people on the outside like Steve Bannon, they now talk about the war starts the day after Election Day. The fight is between November 4th and January 20th. And some of that fight is going to be, as I said, in the counting rooms, in the courts, in the House of Representatives, and potentially in the streets. And I think they are getting ready for that fight. And they are, in some respects, realizing it's the only path to the presidency for him. And it's going to be really ugly. That's when Trump said last night, this is not going to be pretty. This is going to be ugly. That's what he's talking about, Joe.
Yep, he is. Jon Helman, thank you very, very